game 8, and it was incredible, right? Like, it's going to be an amazing time. We can't wait to get into it. Let's take a look at this lobby list. Who are we seeing compete here today? A lot of names we saw from Qualifier 1 who did performed well are back again. Let's start this off with Clix and Higgs. Blake, is this it? Can they redeem themselves today?
Well, we all know about the Clix 4th place curse, which they got in Qualifier 1, but the good news is, if you are a Clix fan, that might just be enough today to qualify them to the EWC. With 2 teams already qualified, Cold and Rapid, Peterbot, Poyo, if they get top 2 again, that spot is jumping right down to 4th. And when you have a solo clutch player like Higgs, who can clutch all the way from first moving to the end of the game, and a player as consistent as Clix since the 2019 Fortnite World Cup, I would say you're looking pretty good, Kelly.
Oh my gosh, that solo clutch from Higgs, where he went from something like 30th to top 6, absolutely incredible. I mean, that is why he won the solo tournament. But you're talking about good luck, we have to talk about the bad luck. Clix and Higgs, already a target on them in regards to Peterbot and Poyo. Now with Peterbot and Poyo already qualing and having added drama to the mix, I'm wondering exactly how they're going to be refocusing their frustrations and who's going to be in their line of sight. And I'm afraid it might be Clix and Higgs.
Let's not hope. Let's not say that, Kelly. Everything's good, right? Clix is good. He's an emotional player when he's riding highs. Vibes are good. I mean, he won last night's Astral Rift Rumble, you know, the Honkai Star Rail collab. Things are great for Clix. So today is going to be a brand new day. Clix fans, rise up. Let's talk about another duo, Veno and Reet. So we actually had Veno come over to NA and then decide, you know what, things are chill here. I'm going to go back to EU. But he comes back, and Kelly Link, he's duoed up with Reet.
I don't think that was on anyone's bingo board, but I'm definitely not upset by it. Reet, you know, used to be the WK King, joined by Veno, who is one of the most aggressive IGLs in the game. Honestly, this might be a match made in heaven. I love to see them compete together. They've already done pretty well. They were in a very, very difficult heat in Heat 1, Blake, and they performed pretty well.
Yeah, it was definitely not on my bingo card, Kelly, but with Veno coming to NA, duoing up with Reet, who has been cycling through duos all season long. He's been dropped, he's been the one dropping, but clearly they've shown that this is a top tier duo, getting 4th place in Heat 1, which is arguably the hardest heat, Zeke.
Bro, I mean, that's hype, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I want to see how this goes. It's got to be sick. Now, let's talk about a couple more duos. We're getting close to kicking off the competition. Kanata and Curve. Now, what's interesting here is Curve actually used to duo with Craze, but now we've had a big shakeup. It's Kanata x Curve. What can we expect out of this duo today?
Yeah, Curve with Craze getting that 5th place, you know, doing a pretty good job, but splitting up, joining Kanata, going over there on Foxy Floodgate, uncontested. Honestly, this is a duo I think could easily break into the top 4, which would get them that qualification spot. Kanata, one of the most innovative IGLs, joined by Curve, one of the best controller players in the game. I mean, Curve, if you actually look at the stats, during the last finals, he had the most amount of eliminations, beating out Peterbot, Rapid, and Cold. So as far as those two together, I definitely think they have a chance to qualify.
Yeah, and like we just said, they got 5th place in Qualifier 1, Curve and Graze, but we're on the NA Central region. That does not mean that you are safe, that you are locked in with your duo, because snake innings happen all the time. And I think Curve pairing up with Kanata is a great decision, because Kanata has proven time and time again for almost 7 years now that he knows how to get the job done. It doesn't matter what the loot pool is, it doesn't matter what the meta is, he always finds a way, Zeke.
Dude, when you've got a track record like Kanata's, it's hard not to just know he's constantly cooking, right? He's always got something in the back of his mind, like, let me just try this. Maybe I can get this shakeup. Maybe I can duo with this player. I have all faith in Kanata. Let's talk about another duo, Agers and Ritual, coming together here. Do they have what it takes? Could we see a qual out of this duo?
I mean, 100%. And if you look at them individually from where they were in their trios, Ritual and Agers, kind of these leftover players, especially when you look at people like Peterbot and Cold, Acorn, you know, all the players that they were in their trios with before. So to see them join together, especially for something like the RES, I think that there's a lot of potential here. I mean, Ritual did win the most recent EWC last year, and a lot of eyes were on him. If I'm not mistaken, he actually got the MVP. So to see him joined by Agers, an incredible fragging player, I think that there's a lot of possibility here. And I say that with an asterisk because they are triple contested on Stilt Town. So Blake, as good as they might be, I don't know if it's going to be able to beat out a triple con.
Yeah, being triple contested no matter what the game mode is obviously going to be a rough time. But this is a duo who has been on fire recently. Ritual has something to prove. He's trying to beat these carried by Peterbot allegations, which clearly aren't true because they got 3rd place yesterday in the Div Cup. They got 2nd place the week before. They have been going crazy. So it's going to be exciting to see if they can translate those BR skills into reload.
Guys, 30 seconds before we kick off the competition. Really quick, I want to get your expectations on the day.
Chaos, pure chaos.
Yeah.
What do you think, Blake? What are your expectations?
I don't know. Clicks and Higgs, they might have a rough tournament. We're going to have to see. It just kind of just depends on how Peterbot and Poyo are playing, but I'm so excited to see what happens.
Oh boy. All right, Fortnite fam, it is that time. Find your seats on the bus. The RES starts now.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Kelly, and Blake for kind of breaking down all the action of what we're going to see today, Monster. And honestly, it's pretty exciting. This is only qualifier 2, and I feel like the stakes have never been higher.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, I'm excited. Obviously, I jumped the gun right there. I want to see who's going to
Okay, the number one thought is what Peterbot doing.
To the games that are up ahead here. I mean, there's so much to look forward to.
Land on
They
Kate
hit
and
that
said
We
fuck
got a
the
lot
dominated.
here happening on the map.
Going Kate dominated.
Games
Oh,
today, new duos, some that aren't even changing,
Oh.
might have been affected because of the drop spots and only 2
Poto
spots
so
up for
pet
grabs
not
in qualifier 2
played
for that
the dominated
EWC
today.
final later this year. And I kind of got to maybe put you on the spot. Who do you think could be one of those teams, Monster?
I mean, definitely looking towards Acorn, right? Like, everyone knows he's got what it takes. He's clearly here, and it sounds like we're going to be able to check it out now.
I cannot bet against you on that one, Monster. From the World Cup all the way to here, I feel like you have seen it all.
Definitely have, man, and so have Cooper, Curly, Muzz, Sphinx. They've been through it all as well, and Cooper's going to be the first to catch that early elimination. Talk about starting things off with the right foot, having that momentum really set you up here out the gate. Muzz has got to feel a little disappointed that they got sniped out the sky there.
Yeah, but luckily for them, this is reload, so they are going to be able to kind of get back up if Sphinx can kind of make it down again, which, yes, we are. And already that early action is like Cooper and Curly saying, guess what? This is what we think about your Div 1 Finals win. That was yesterday. This is today. It's a brand new day and a shot for them
so
to reach the
Peterbot,
finals if they do get top 2 and maybe top 4, depending on Peterbot, Poyo, Cold, and Rapid do. For the other side of the map, another one of our contested drops, Ritual and Agers. We thought it was going to be a triple con. Dozier and Ishu refusing to move. One team did, so it's only going to be a regular contested fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, you do have Taki and Vert just off in the distance there. You can see them kind of lurking nearby as Agers finds that elimination. So I think we dare say, yeah, they're all in the mix right now. It just seems like it's happening everywhere. And then look at this, Peterbot's nameplate popping up. So we'll keep close tabs on where he's going to be managing to push towards. Doesn't seem like they decided to encroach right into Clicks and Higgs' territory just yet. However, on the other side, Dragon here at the Steamy Stack, right? This is that triple contested drop we knew was going to happen. Booga and King opting to take the northern side here for the most part. This is a really interesting dynamic, right? Because Rapid and Cold last week, or the last time we saw them, were so successful in farming eliminations.
Yeah, and this time around, that third team maybe throws something into the mix. And Cold, you see him with 1 eliminations, but he went down to Dragon shortly after. So these fights are non-stop action. Dragon, Rapid, both trading shots here early on. Rapid trying to play a little defensive, but he edits perfectly to land that shot. But Haas comes in from the reboot. They get the elimination on the Rapid. Cold had just been rebooted, so he was trying to loot up, maybe get some farm of his own in order to fight that fight. So this is already the start of this game being tossed on its head with Dragon and Haas showing up and showing up big here.
Major surprise. I mean, everyone's counting them and putting their chips up on Cold to do the thing that they need to do, right? Win the drop. And talk about that Peterbot Poyo opting to rotate south like we just chatted about there. And you saw they pick up Vert for the elimination instead of going toe-to-toe with
okay, hello lot. Nothing funny up yet.
That Peterbot, like Clicks has said best, just tries to put up a distraction, right? Don't look over here. Don't worry about how I'm performing. And Clicks is obviously putting up the numbers right now, and they seem to be very much primed here.
Yeah, it's just 8 games is a long time. Things can change halfway throughout the day, and so can the play styles. But Higgs, C, and Jace all the way across. He also sees the drop coming in. And Clicks and Higgs, they've both secured both positions on the drop. They still need to be able to fight and actually pick it up. Adrian's on the other side, seems to be in a struggle. He's going to go down, but Ritual gets the knock on the other side. He can't be the hero to actually get the revive, but again, this is reload. He done his job. He did just enough to buy more time for Adrian to get back in the game.
I'm not gonna lie, all in all, it's looking pretty tough for those Southern teams right now. No material count, kind of playing off the reboot back and forth. This is really not the situation you want to be in, right? We talk a lot when you start really analyzing Reload, it's about momentum, and talk about losing momentum. Bob coming out of nowhere, putting down Peter.
Damn.
What a play there to sneak a little RPG, and that looked very 2019-esque, right? Like kind of dating back to early Fortnite. You love to see it.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to go ahead and take those risks. And I don't think there's as much risk taking some of the early game fights, especially if you are uncontested, as you would in a regular BR mode. This is Reload. You do get rebooted back. And if your teammate gets a down or a knock, that is more time cut off for the respawn timer. And if they actually get an elimination, that's more time. And if they somehow find a squad wipe monster, that's almost an instant reboot with no time spent respawning at all. Just kind of seeing how these fights are shaking out around the map. Some of them are being very, very aggressive early on, but some of them, like Reet and Veno here, Noxie and Mason, we saw them early on, they're not actually fighting each other out. There's one elimination here, but they're actually trying to play the game out to its fullest.
Yeah, definitely. And this is what Veno does best, right? One of the brightest minds when it comes to that Fortnite. He's got the history and the historical track record to prove it. Pairing up now with Reet, who's very much matured in his own right as a player. I'm so curious to see how they're going to perform in NA, at least for the Reload series for now. But hopping back to the fast action, Cold and Rabbit seem to finally be finding their footing. Look, 2 elims here, but since we flash checked in, they've sort of seemingly, I think they got their groove going here.
I think it's a little bit more than that right now. I know it looks a little messy to start things off, but they actually get another elimination on the Dragon. Gold pump, and this is what Blake was talking about. This is the OG 200 pump that we do have back on the map, plus the exotic record revolver. So this is one team. I know for sure names alone, you don't want to fight them, but look at their loadout. They can end the fight in the blink of an eye, and they go right back on over to Steamy. They're going to go ahead and hit that mending machine and any other loot that they do need. Because remember, it was basically them head-to-head with Haas, while Bugha and King just took the outskirts. So there might be a lot of loot left in the map.
For sure. One thing's for certain, though, if you got the shotgun and the aim to back it up, you'll see there it's going to get put to use to earn points here. Pollo Peter Bot back in the action here, though. We let him down for a little second there. You know, they allowed people to get comfortable here at the Slurpy Swamp. This is seemingly looking like a deja vu from last time we were here on the broadcast. They rotate right back in and bring the heat to anyone who's in their kitchen. And Peter Bot, Pollo now at 3 eliminations right now, really picking up the points here. They're setting themselves up for a pretty explosive start on the day. That was exactly what we saw them do last time. And the difference then was they lost a little bit of momentum, right? They kind of eased up, got a little too comfortable. I'm curious to see if they're just going to maybe go out with a bang, right? Try to make things really flashy here, show people why this is one of the duels we love to look forward to, regardless of what the narrative online is.
Yeah, you just kind of notice what Pete's doing right here, and it's kind of like something you don't see every day in that moment. He dropped his legendary slurp juice. Pollo's going to go ahead and pick it up. He's just trying to hide it. There's different spots of loot around the map, plus those eliminations that they're able to pick up. So when it comes to getting those extra heals and getting those mats for Peter Bot and Pollo, it's going to take no time at all. Clicks and Higgs, even though they only have 1 elimination here, they've been doing a good job of getting damage around the map, pushing the players away, because most of them will rotate in from the north. They will hit Clicks and Higgs' spot first before they go on over to Slurpee. So they're doing a good job of making everybody go and choose a whole nother route that they don't have to deal with. Bugha and King chose that route a long time ago from Steamy. They don't want to be facing Cold and Rapid throughout this early game fight. So Bugha, you know him from that BR mode, the early rotations, the smart plays to play a little bit of placement, and he lets those eliminations naturally come to him.
Really interesting that they opted to just keep a low profile, not really push the, the envelope. You would think Bugha would trust in, a young player like Genji's King there, but we'll see how it plays out. Some players just mature much better and play so much better come the late game, and that's what Reload really allows you to kind of flex, right? Your end game capabilities, believe it or not, since the early game is so chaotic, it gives you all that, flexibility to get there. Talk about such, we have Reet and Mr. Veno here, just kind of playing the outskirts right now, opting to stay in the zone for some dead side rotates here, but they have a little trouble in Paradise here. Seems like there's a team nearby.
Yeah, and this is that point in the game where like reboots are still active. If you go down, you can get back up, but the zone is getting smaller and smaller. Where are you going to land? What loot are you going to get? So going down here is crucial. As Clix and Higgs seem to be in a fight. I don't know how he got in this situation for Carbone, but they're seemingly taking advantage of a full-on 2-on-1 situation from inside of the box and out. They do get the down onto Clix, but it is not an elimination, so Clix will get back up into the game. They do secure another elimination, the third overall since we last saw him, so they're keeping up on the roll that they're on.
Yeah, absolutely critical clutch up right there from Higgs, not to waste, you know, any time, and also just give away your drop to the rest of the lobby, right? When you come spawning out the sky, everyone can definitely see exactly where you're coming from, and they'll be, you know, attracting the attention essentially to Carbone there. So well played on Higgs to go ahead and clutch up there. Jumping on over to Iamzo and Joss. It's a very exciting team, right? We were talking about how much consistent performance we've seen out of Iamzo and Josh. Iamzo, for some reason, just, it always sounds like he's got so much to prove to the community, right? Is he the top dog or not? Well, clearly he's been up and up with top performances back to back. Josh on the other side, just trying to find his breakout opportunity this year.
Yeah, and the biggest difference for them coming into this qualifier than last is they were contested at Boom and Base in that last qualifier, and it wasn't actually going their way off spawn. They did manage to end up playing most of the games out through the mid and the end game, but when you go down off spawn, you're not able to set up how you want, you're not able to get the loot that you want. So being uncontested, we might see a whole different version of them. Cooper Curley still riding off of that first elimination in the game, and placement points monster, they start to come in at top 15. Unlike in that last qualifier, it was around that top 12 players were starting to get points. So it's a little bit more forgiving to get the placement points. That just means the placement points are top heavy in the top 5s to maybe even the top 3s of the leaderboard.
That was a big difference for Peterbot, kind of come that mid-time, you know, during qualifier 1, right? They were falling off that placement horse. It became very, very difficult. So we'll see who ends up struggling with it this time around. So far, so good, though. We're seeing some excellent play from all the, you know, competitors thus far. Plenty of teams still standing here. A lot of passive play, too. Surprisingly, for a Game 1 kickoff here, as Eshu and company are sitting underneath the plume here. And it's trying to see what can go ahead and reveal itself here. Just a launch by play. A little bit of a miss, but we're setting it up so they don't go too high, and they just go away with that plan. Straight on in they go.
I think you kind of said it perfectly for the most part. Like, this game, or game number 1, is just a lot more passive than we see in qualifier 1 throughout almost any stage of that qualifier 1 through 8 when it comes to those games. So interesting to see, is this something with the meta changes? Is this the duo changes? Or this player's kind of figuring out how that first qualifier went on? Yes, you can get a lot of eliminations early when it comes to being uncontested, but how much of a role does that play? You know, we saw Higgs, we saw Peterbot, we saw them venture out in qualifier 1 early on to try to get eliminations. They go down, they get rebooted back in their spot, but they may not necessarily have the same loadout as they once had when they first went out there.
Yeah, for me, I think it's the time between the two qualifiers. You know, you get to play this first qualifier out, really analyze kind of how you felt in it. We saw there's only 9 new teams, right, jumping into this qualifier too. So most teams have realistically stuck together throughout the qualifiers. And I think that level of, like, you know, retrospect, right, being able to look at your gameplay and kind of adjust here, is playing a factor right now, and why so many teams seem to be very well positioned for the most part. This is going to be a very tough game 1 to win. I think whoever takes game 1 is likely going to be a team that's going to qualify. Maybe I'll have to call that early today.
Yeah, with more players alive and looking healthier than game 1 at the same time in qualifier 1, this is going to be chaotic. I know Kelly wanted to see it, and that's what her expectations won. Well, she's not going to have to wait long for that to be a possibility. You see a lot of the players from the backside of the zone using a combination of crash pads and shockwaves with the Flowberry Fizz to try to cover ground as quickly as possible. And there's a lot of missed opportunities here for Peterbot and Poyo, but as they say that, they make quick work of the shield coming out from King. Curly as well. Oh my, he just got down by Poyo. Big Elim there. Even if they can't clean up the loot, that's more points, and that's more confidence and one less player to worry about.
Had his head in the clouds, and the lightning bolt struck him down there. Peterbot, Pollo looking very solid right now as they opt to play high ground, front side of zone, just doing everything very much textbook right now. And if they go for height again, I mean, that's just telling us they're taking a risk. But, you know, talking about risk takers, seems like Osid is looking to go for height first. But now let's jump in with Kanata and Curve. We're in a bit of a mixy situation here, trying to fight for low ground. A lot of teams kind of in this congested area, so just trying to fish for something, possibly a little refresh here. Not that they necessarily need it here. They pull front side zone, and they're pretty much capped off on material right now. This is an excellent spot to be in.
Yeah, and I kind of what you said about teams sticking together, learning, VOD reviewing, and I think I'm seeing more and more of those Fizz launch pads coming out. We saw it kind of utilized by Acorn and Bolts a ton, even though they didn't qualify by just 1 point. So I think in this game we might see a few teams try to get that strategy. As Clix and Higgs, they pull zone on their side. They immediately go up to try to hold on to that high ground. 8th zone though, out of 12, lots of shockwaves. It might be too early to expend the type of material, but at the same time, we've seen teams kind of hold it zone after zone. It just all depends on what the rest of the lobby's going through.
Well, I'm glad you said it because I was thinking about it. I think it's too early. We've always seen that first one to go for the high ground is usually the one that gets attacked, you know, kind of early on and forced out of their position. So let's see if the risk was worth squeeze here. Meanwhile, Venno, Reed, front side of zone, already opting kind of play that mid to second high ground. So is Acorn and team. Again, you have some very dangerous competitors starting to encroach their high ground here.
See Clix kind of weary of all the dangers down below. Even reconnects while they already were. Just trying to give them more leeway here as he looks to the backside of zone. Saw a snipe shot come from back there, and that was rapid. That was cold. Trying to be sneaky, and that's something that we see a lot, especially with the hunting rifles here in Reload. It takes 1 headshot and a shockwave to the high ground to turn the tides at a moment's notice. Cole just looking across. That double pump is ready to just wreak havoc on the rest of this lobby.
Definitely looking like it right now, and there goes that fight for high. Peterbot, Boyo, we already saw them hint that they wanted high ground, and they go for it this time. The fall is gonna fall onto Clix, though. He takes the damage here, and Peterbot leads off as a solo now, losing his teammate in the clash there. Now Booga, recognizing a moment here, takes it up with King. They secure high ground, and oh man, who would have thought that 8th zone was a little too early? Well, there you have it. It's back and forth. Peterbot's a solo. Higgs is a solo now.
Yeah, a lot of our high ground teams are actually getting out of the game or being forced to play as solos. I even saw Venno go down, and he's one of those that goes for a height more times than not, possibly leaving Cold by himself. A bunch of solos, 7 different ones, one of them being Reek here in this lobby. He does have the grenade launcher, launches it down low, trying to clear space in the front side of the zone. Peterbot as well. He has not given up on that high layer. He may have dropped down little by little because of those shockwaves, but he knows that low ground, that ultimate low, is one of the worst places to be as a solo. You see how much pressure he's actually going through from shockwaves, from getting sprayed. There's just so much going on. Higgs dodging most of it, going up and over with that shockwave. You're seeing 2 different sides of this coin.
Yeah, Higgs on the low ground here, looking very optimal right now. I like the positioning here. He's got plenty to work with. Meanwhile, Peterbot is just fighting his way through the mid layers here. A complete different story, and he finds an elimination on a solo there. Nicely done for him, and this is what Peterbot does best. Medmis comes out, though. He's in a box. Can't even find the track, and meanwhile, high ground changes hands. Acorn Bolts are going toe-to-toe with Booga and King here.
Yeah, smartly by them. They seen the zone was cutting back in their direction a little bit. They dropped the med miss and they tried to cut it out. But Acorn and Bolts, they saw it coming. They reconnected to Booga and King's high ground as the zone is cutting back. So even though they are there, they still have a shot to try to reclaim it if they want to take it. But Higgs still alive. You see the triple weapon load up, and the biggest blessing is that slurp juice. He's waiting for that perfect moment to use it. For 20 HP, you know that would be a waste. He's just waiting to see if he takes any damage. And right now, there's a little bit of pressure from up above. Returns the King again. Booga goes in. He gets the elimination onto Bolts, leaving Acorn by himself. He's on 0 ping, and he is ready to roar.
He's not playing. Acorn goes down. There it is. King with 3 E-lives. Booga there to back him up. Higgs just clutching up right now. We know how important placement points are, and this is a phenomenal game 1 for Higgs right now as he is performing out of his mind here. Meanwhile, there are still 7 duos remaining, right? There's a lot of placement points to be had here. All he has to do is hold on now.
Yeah, 3 different solos, Higgs being one of them. Just got to make sure you don't get spotted out. This is out of build officially. But he gets a 180, a big pump, gets the elimination. He's barely surviving on the Siphon mats alone, but he gets in front with little space he has before the zone is catching up, trying to pop the Flowberry Fizz, but he has to go, and he has to go now. There's really no other options for Higgs as he's now getting sprayed a little bit by above. That was Booga trying to target him out, and he's again out of builds in a tough situation with the zone pushing him in.
Still a couple more solos here, though, but Higgs is just in the mix, working back and forth. Medmiss is finally going to get caught out of position there to the hands. Kanata and Curve, who are playing the ultimate low. They have control of this situation here. King and Booga, though, fighting their way to the team that tries to take the top. And now, Jacob, we're set up for a clean 2v2.
Yeah, two teams that were part of Roster Mania in their own way. Up goes Kanata. He launches the shockwave down, trying to get Booga out of zone. King is already there. Curve and Kanata are following it, and you might think they have to, depending on what the heal situation is. Kanata has none, trying to stop the heal off on the other side, but they trade in downs. King is out. It's Booga versus Curve, but Booga's keeping his heal off going. The last medkit. Curve tries to break in the box. He lands a shot on the Booga, and Curve, with a roster switch before this, makes it count as him and Kanata take the game.
Talk about a close game. Now, wouldn't have thought Booga would have gave away the lead there. Love to play, though. Tries to go for the heal off. What a game number one. Well, we called it. Curve and Kanata go ahead and win that one. And we knew, Zeke, it was going to be exciting.
Kanata! Kanata! Every time, you see, this is why I write the script this way, because every time Kanata does this, he comes down, he gets these clutch VRs, and it's what I live for, Kelly. It's all I have to live for.
It's such a clean win. There was so much just chaos going on in the high ground, so many teams fighting back and forth for it. And there's Kanata and Curve just staying to the front low, not really doing anything, not really going the aggressive. They had 4 eliminations when it came down to the final 2v2. And sometimes that's all you need. Let everyone else have fun and eliminate each other, and you two just focus on the win. And that is what we saw from Curve and Kanata.
Yeah, I said it in the pre-show. Kanata always finds a way to get it done. And Curve is probably very happy with his decision of splitting up with Craze right now because they took the game 1 win. But that game was insane. We saw tons of teams going up for height. Peterbot kills clicks. It was crazy, Zeke.
I'm telling you, man, I just don't know how he does this. This is why we say, like, man, there's a track record there. Now, of course, Kelly, like, I love that these guys got the first game VR, right? Like, the question is, do we keep this momentum going? Could this be the performance that kicks off them qualifying after 7 more games?
You know, with the roster apocalypse that's happened, I think that there is a lot of animosity, a lot of emotions going on right now. And Kanata is one of the, this is like hard to believe, but he's one of the calmest IGLs. I've seen him in games before where his teammates freaking out and he just goes, hey, calm down, we're fine. And he will like reset the emotions, who is a little bit shocking because Kanata is such an explosive player. But I think honestly, we're gonna see this for the next 7 games.
What do you think, Blake? You think this is it? Could we see them? Is this enough? Is this what's going to kickstart it all?
100%. Uncontested, Fort Crumpet. They have the uncon spot. That's all they need to make those end games every single game. So as long as they don't go down mid game and they get those consistent placement points, I think they're going to stay on top.
Ooh, boy. That was just the first game out of the Reload Elite Series. We're going to go to a short break. When we return, we'll take a look at the standings, set up for game number 2, and of course, don't go anywhere, because we'll see you right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Reload Elite Series. It's great to see you guys. In case you missed it, Kanata and Curve come out so strong and get a victory royale in game number 1. Man, they set the tone for the day. Let's take a look at this leaderboard. Oh man, 78 points. It's gotta feel so good. We did talk about them right before the break, so let's go on to the, why not start with Bugha and King there, getting themselves second place. I'm not gonna lie, guys, for a moment there, I really did think, like, this is it. Bugha's gonna come out, he's gonna win this game.
I mean, it definitely looked like they had that, especially once they took height. But for me, Blake, what was really impressive was them taking height, losing it, and then being able to recover and claim it once again over Acorn and Bolts.
100%. Whenever you get height taken by a team that has as many mats and as much loot as Acorn and Bolts had when they took it, most of the time, you're not going to be able to go back up there and retake it, let alone take them down out of the game. But that is exactly what Bugha and Kingling did. Bugha is now back on 0 ping, and clearly that is showing.
To have such a strong showing, right? Like, especially in this lobby, given the conditions. Now, it's fine, right? That was just game number 1. We have 7 more games to go. So now we just, again, have to keep that consistency rolling, right? We saw there in 3rd place, Scare and Osid also in 3rd place. But you know what? I'm getting word. We're jumping right back into the action. Casters, over to you.
That's right. Well, listen, Curve, Kanata, you got your foot in the door. Nah, you just got to sneak on in there, Jacob.
Yeah, I know, just kind of looking at the community, Acorn and Bolts are probably the #1 team people would lock in. I saw some Josh Yamzos, I saw some Curve and Kanatas as well. So they are one of the teams that people think will lock in a spot today.
And we'll have to, right? We're getting really close here. Well, game 1's out the way. That was super exciting. Our people that are qualified, though, underperformed a tad bit. So let's see how game number 2 now shakes up.
Hopefully the nerves are over after game 1, where we both were kind of calling it out. You said it first, where it was looking a little bit more passive, not as much early game aggression, and that was kind of what Rapid was doing, Peterbot and Poyo were doing in the first qualifier to get as many early game eliminations as possible, kind of making it where they had to worry about it less and less as the game get on, as turns points. But it actually a surprise contest coming out of nowhere. Acorn and Bolts were pushed fully out of their drop spot, probably not expecting a contest here. So this one, they're gonna have to dig deep.
Yeah, this was definitely interesting. I was just like glancing over at the drop. I'm like, all right, so you got Reinvento here, but it just seems like Pylon and Dragon are like, yeah, screw the whole triple contest up north. We need a little bit more space to work with. I like the play. I like that they're being so dynamic, and this is what Higgs does very well. Talking about being dynamic. Hunting rifle, early, kind of game situation here in the reload settings. We've seen him pull it out time and time again, and it has worked for him.
Oh, so they said 19
this
team.
kind of
Someone made it in, or someone stopped playing.
Peterbot. You are uncontested. You got to take advantage of every single thing given to you. And one of the things that's given to them is not having to worry about a fight. But this time around over at Steamy Stacks, things change up just a little bit. We saw Dragon and his duo change up drop spots, which means Bugha and King are more of a focus for Cold and Rapid. And this is what they've done qualifier after qualifier. Just hunt down at least one of these players, because you know where they're going to get rebooted from. They have to fall out of the sky, and already it's looking like Bugha's going to go down for a second time.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had a great game 1. Part of that was because Rapid and Cold were very much busy with Dragon and Pylon here at the drop. With that team leaving, I mean, this is a pretty devastating turn of events now for Cold here. But hold up, let's look at Ritual and Aegis. I lost my train of thought almost for a second there. What just happened here? Ritual goes just toe to toe in Peterbot, and then he finds a full set of elimination on Eshu's team there. Talk about a major turn of events there as well.
Yeah, who would have thought Peterbot coming in and trying to crash the party? Even with him taking down Agers, I think Ritual and Agers overall win that scenario. They get the eliminations and they get that team out of their way. So even though it didn't start off uncontested, they are now uncontested. Yamzo's loadout looking good, has a mythic, may not be the exact one he wants, but it can definitely pack a punch if he can get into the box. And it does look like Taki here just kind of hiding around the corner, waiting for Noah Plays to make some sort of a mistake here. And he's half health, so if he misses that shot, it might be him that goes down.
Taki and lurking. Noah Plays has no idea. The danger's lurking nearby. He's gonna take one good pump too. Look how much damage the Storm has done so far. As he has got no clue he's being watched here. was curious. You know, 10th thing, I see ammo there. I mean, I know I'm jumping for it.
Yeah, Bert almost has to try to make a play, though. You saw Noah with med kits. He just has slap splashes. That's 30 HP he can get. There is barrels on the side, so again, there's maybe like 40, 50 on the other side, but it's a huge mismatch, especially Noah spotting out Agers in the distance. Northern goes down. This would be the perfect time to strike.
Yeah, but he needs the barrels. I think he was trying to bait that, and his teammate comes from behind. Very nicely done, and Noah just gets completely ambushed with the instant elimination. That's going to be another team sent right back to the lobby. And that timing couldn't have been worse. Meanwhile, it's all up to, obviously, Bert here to try to do what he can. He's just going to go. It's definitely the better play. He still has heals to work with, so Agers Rituals come out on top once again, just farming up the eliminations here.
Yeah, they got a little bit more freedom because you got to think if they were still contested, that team was still live, they would probably still be over there. So now they have the choices, as it does look like Reet, Veno do clean up the elimination, and another team has gone down. So again, it's top 15 that start to earn you placement points. All they need is one more team to go down, and this is how they got that elimination, just lurking around. He made a mistake, and they capitalized on it.
Love to see it. Is the standoff we're looking at here, though. Reet, Veno opting to make a move for high ground here. They were boxed up for a second there, probably trying to analyze the situation as they saw that third party, like he was kind of hinting at there. Things are going to ease off, though. We jump with Bolts and Acorn. So they go from looking at one fight into a heated one over here. It's a battle for the airdrop coming down. Mason and Noxy are the first to try to catch dibs on him as well here. But no, they give it up.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not worth the risk, especially if you have a decent loadout as well. And you can see it's getting more and more crowded. The grenade launcher coming out, just wreaking a little bit of havoc, just trying to create a little bit of distance there, slow them down, stop Veno from Reet from continuously pushing in. Saw Acorn and Bolt set up their spot. They got one elimination early. There's no Storm Surge at all in reload, so you got to think that's got to start to boost the confidence a little bit that they were contested and they're still coming out with decent loadouts and deep positioning on the map.
Yeah, and realistically, I mean, listen, if I hear a grenade launcher too, though, I'm just backing off, right? I'm thinking twice about this. That's one of the more powerful, you know, explosive weapons you can obviously have here. Jumping in, though. Look at Cold and Rapid sitting up here at the Steamy Stocks. We've already saw the clash between them and Booga was going very much in their favor. They get 4 eliminations here. Rapid now spawning back in. Booga, King did not leave the drop, so they're still there as well. Meanwhile, here comes Veno, here comes Reet.
God, just unfortunate. It was Veno just kind of shooting those grenades out, trying to break some builds, maybe get some damage if you're lucky a knock, but you see he has no more rockets, right? And in reload, there were some changes. The only other way you can actually get rockets is other explosive weapons. You can't get them in ammo crates, big ammo crates. You don't really get them in drops. So unless somebody else passed up some rocket launcher or grenade and is not really holding on to it, that's the only way he's going to be able to replenish that ammo. Hopefully that loot pile in the distance had something they can utilize in terms of that. Otherwise, it might be beneficial for him to just drop it here now.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they wanted something from there. I mean, Veno's probably looking to just upgrade the loadout and kind of switch things up, but Evan and Carbone had full eyes on the situation. Meanwhile, Cooper Curly making the rotate here, also going deep from the Storm side. They land at the northern area of the Steamy Stacks here. There's a lot of teams here, though. You saw Booga and King. They haven't really moved much. You saw, obviously, Cold and Rapid. Look, Yamzo and Josh joined the party. I mean, all the big dogs are kind of parked up here at the Steamy Stacks. They're probably hoping the zone's going to come this way. We've seen it happen time and time again. Usually the team that positions up on the stack, should it land here, is the one that's going to have the major advantage. You get the free rotate as well.
Yeah, we'll kind of know where the zone ends up in about 10 seconds or so. Just kind of hoping that it just doesn't go over open waters. Watching EU earlier, and a couple of those zones were just so chaotic, going up mountains, right back down into kind of like 50-50, a small beach land split, and then water on the other side. So it's going to be interesting how these players do plan ahead, but it actually does. It pulls back towards Steamy. Yeah, we're right there. So we do got most of Steamy is going to open up. You see the half and half there on the bottom right of Booga's screen. So they do make the perfect decision, because now, since they know the zone kind of closed on that side of the map, they could venture out there. They could try to be one of the first teams on one of the stacks you were talking about.
Oh, like they say, usually the most entertaining outcome is the one that the universe decides to play out. So Steamy Stacks is going to be where this zone's ending here. Peterbot Folio jumping in with them. 1 elim. So a hot start, things slow down. We don't really get to see them do the big early game clash like they usually try to tee up for. I think here and now recognizing, all right, we're in like the bottom 10. You gotta play slow. Let's get this end game. Let's lock in as a duo here. Agers and Ritual on the other side, though, still way deep down in Stilt Town. They haven't really left their kind of hometown, if you will. Look at this, the route almost perfectly designed. They got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, Slurp Rush. There's a lot of barrels. You see the Slurp water there. They're in zone, so that's not really going to help as much as the barrels. But you saw they got the first 2 eliminations on their drop spot. They wiped that team out. They went towards the east. They got another couple of eliminations. But as zone pulled back towards the west, they immediately are able to rotate on over. But because they got that team wipe and they cleared that side of the map, they are safe to stay there as long as possible. I would think maybe they're looking for some sort of big launch pad with the Flowberry Fizz to try to close the distance as fast as possible. But from one side of the map, you can kind of see to the other. A lot of teams just kind of taking the edges of the zones and trying to lock them down, and they're already boxing up. And the gameplay has slowed down exponentially because it's in the 7th zone, 6th in the 7th zone. No meme intended here. That's when reboots will turn off.
This qualifier's playing like a grands right here. You're looking at all the metal bases. It's only zone 5 with reboots though enabled is just madness. Zone 6 pops. It's pulling far west. So everyone positioned here is set up honestly the best right now. Really nothing to worry about. So we should realistically be seeing these teams in the full end game. Let's see who gets the target focus though. They shouldn't turn on one another. I'd assume they'd be looking for folks looking to bring it shockwave their way in here.
Yeah, you'd want to think they look all the way towards the north, depending on kind of where they're positioned at. But a lot of these teams, I mean, they made the right decision almost center of the zone overall. Booga King, they're one of the first teams from that steamy side of the map to rotate on over. They claim their spot in zone, and they claimed it in a spot to where the zone is going to open up on that shoreline. There's going to be a lot of refarm potential if they do want to go after it. Reet and Veno already there, but they're positioned just a little bit higher than some of the other players around them.
Yeah, Veno clearly low on material. He recognizes he's also got to get into this drop spot here. And remember, they might have still left that loot in the water. Don't forget, we saw them last kind of hinting at it, but the lack of material might mean that Carbone had held them off just long enough. So we'll see what the bigger play is there. Meanwhile, Higgs Clicks, they were at the Steamy Stacks moments ago, kind of floating around the area. Already now, though, they've positioned here, and it ain't cost them much. They're still very much heavy on the material count right now.
Yeah, looking good. It's almost like the med miss. You've seen it like a huge change, the addition of it into reload instead of kind of the regular BR mode. This is where a lot of teams are using that to take position in some of these later zones. The 8s, the 9s, using that launch pad, getting high ground, depending on where the zone goes. And that's where you're seeing a lot of them kind of favorite that over the 3 med kit stack. So where in theory you could get more HP out of the med kits, or you get more utility and resource out of the med miss smoke. And this is where reboots, you hear that little timer, they will officially start to turn off. So from here on out, Monster, if you go down, you are out of the game. So if you saw Rapid getting eliminated, he's able to get Reboot back. It's just how long will he be able to stay alive?
Yep, I saw Cold there knocked just before that too, so they might have been full finish. We'll see if that was the case there, but Booga King positioned well. Peterbot Boyo just up above them. All these guys have to move here. Look at Acorn almost getting sent right back to the lobby there as well. That was a tough rotate for him. Pressure is starting to build up now, though, as everyone's making the first move. Kanata's going back for height, so Kanata positioning up pretty strong there. Never mind, he jumps down, opt to go side by side with Curve there. And yep, Bolts was fully eliminated there on the move, and it's all up to Acorn now.
Yeah, surprise con to start the game, even with that one elimination. They're looking like they're slowing down here early on in the tournament, but this 8 full games. There's 6 more after this, so there's plenty of time for them to really lock in, pick up the pace. But you see 40 builds, only 4 minis, 1 crash pad. Acorn might need to look for an elimination or steal loot away from somebody. Booga and King, you see them kind of targeting out Osid and Scare, the bottom of their cover. They're trying to drop them down into the box. Peterbot and Poyo doing the same thing. They're just trying to force them down further and further. That's the same team. That's Scare and Osid. That's taking 2 teams worth of spray right now.
Yeah, definitely. That pressure's coming in right now from Booga and King here. Love to see it. They're, again, the team that we saw willing to fight for height, which is very interesting. We love that classic high ground fighting, right? That tends to come out of these teams. Hold up, Peterbot and Poyo, though, final elimination here. That's Really interesting decision here. Thinking about, is it worth going for? But no, Josh Riley Yamzo here might be the first to go in and take their pick at the poison. Yup, they get it. Meanwhile, on top, Taki here's positioned up with Vert. Things are looking very solid for them.
Yeah, seeing where this north is going towards the north and it's staying kind of on the shoreline. This is a little bit of a blessing for the teams that were on that ultimate low ground, not having to go up the mountain. It goes just straight up that river, but it is open water. You do go on over to that kind of side POI just south of Steamy Stack, so a lot of opportunity to refarm as well. As Vert, Taki, they're just trying to maintain their position above, but instead of investing all the resources like we saw Clix and Higgs do in that last game, they just pull out their big launch pad and they use it right away, and this is going to save as many resources as possible.
Yeah, they're just looking around too, right? There are no rush to jump down too early. Meanwhile, Re and Veno, I was going to say, they have an advantage here. It's going back to their old builds, but it's against Higgs and Clix. This is friends clashing head-to-head right now, and they both end up getting pretty much daggered there as they're 1-1 now left in the game. So Veno left to play by himself. He rotates to the front. Peterbot, Boya, though, no pressure here on their layer. They've invested a lot of metal, so they're sitting super comfortable here. And now it's up to them, right? They have a lot of optionality here.
Yeah, and seeing Clix as a solo right now. We saw Higgs clutch up a big performance in that last game. We've seen in years past Clix being kind of the solo clutcher of his team. He's going to have to channel that here. Top 13 placement points already starting to set in, as it does look like Vert and Taki are just going to try to hold on to their high ground as long as possible. They used the launch pad. They invested early, and they're just hoping it's worth it, but they have to be careful. Peterbot and Poyo, same thing, just a little bit later. You even have Kanata and Curve in the sky, the winners of game one, just trying to float down and dodge a lot of the chaos that is underneath. You see Veno is currently going through it as a solo, 13 builds, and he's running out fast.
My face is just lighting up. No one realizes who's up top. We'll see what happens, but Clix is just holding on to dear life. We saw Higgs do it in Clix, clutch up for his team and maintain hold position here inside that top 5. Meanwhile, Veno is doing just fine as he is finding eliminations down on the mid layers, and he still hasn't opted to jump ultimate low.
Now, with how long Peter, Poyo, Kanata, Curve are on the high ground, it's a new team up above, though. It's Agers, it's Ritual, and they're just trying to go ahead and put pressure down onto Curve and Kanata. They're the second hype. They know they are the biggest threats, but surprise from the backside of the zone. Up comes Peter, up comes Poyo, and they've solidified the high ground. They forced Agers and Ritual down. They've landed too much damage for them to hold on to it.
Keeping it very interesting for us. Coming into this, they had 27 points, but now's the furthest we see them. Booga and King once again. What a piece of height. They are just keeping things interesting for us here on the broadcast here and now, but Peterbot, boy, you have much more to worry about. Kanata and Curve, who we've
maybe
seen
only me, but Buddha
so
looked
far,
way
right? The
powerful
momentum
today.
is there for them, but so it has been for Booga and King, who had that second place. Will they be able to secure the win now?
Yeah, this is where it gets into how many builds have you expended up until this point. You see that they're running out, but the blessing is we're going back where we came from for the most part, over old builds where you can recycle, but Yamzo trying to heal up. Josh goes down. He's stuck as a solo. We have 2 different solos. Make it 3 as another one gets separated from his duos. Yamzo goes in. He ends the run of Noxie and Mason. Those were one of the eliminations we saw not too long ago. Quickly picks up the crash pad, and you see him going further and further out of zone. There's too many builds. It won't be a safe crash pad if he tries to make the play. Peterbot and Poyo trying to make an unsafe rotation of possibility here as they take down Curly.
Yeah, this is just a crazy endgame right now. It's going back and forth. Everyone we're jumping in with barely has materials to make plays here, but Booga still has to defend the high ground with King here. Into the box he goes, but the tracking wasn't quite there. It's Kanata and Curve who come out ahead here. 4 eliminations now. They're looking to go back-to-back. Peterbot, Boyo at 5 here. No mats to really work with, and there's still so much threat. Danger just lurking everywhere here, Jacob.
Yeah, crazy how it was Peter Poyo with the surprise attack for the backside of zone that started all those high ground takes, and they're the one controlling that ultimate low ground. An elimination that they're stealing away the loot from. Another one on the Sphinx. He drops him into his box. That's their 6th elimination of this game. Jay's still running wild as a solo. Big elimination onto Yamzo to end their run. We got 4 teams left in this game. 2 solos and 2 duos still alive. Muzz being one of them with only 3 HP.
Boyo, Peterbot's on the low ground. Muzz got to pick his poison here shortly. Peterbot, Boyo go up to the top. They take them both out with a swift slash there, and all of a sudden now it's just solos remaining. Pollo's in the box, he hits the shot, he goes down. Peterbot's got this player all locked up, and Jace is gonna fall in the end, and a 9 elim win there. Jacob, what a game for the boys.
I'm not sure that one played as perfectly as they thought it would, but the shockwave to take high ground, they destroyed everybody up above and eventually took the game through playing on that low ground. Two different sides of their story. Am I right, Zeke?
Bro. For a second there, we're in the back and we're saying, hey, is this just the same game? Like, Kanata and Curve are just like on the high ground again. Like, are we just repeating game number 1 again? And then Peterbot and Poyo do what they do. Shockwave again. Guys, height was just fought for over and over. And now to see Peterbot and Poyo get a win, I'm scared. I'm scared. They're heating up.
Yeah, there was, you know, we saw them go for height a few times in that game, and then they were just kind of sticking to the low ground. And Blake, I thought, okay, Peterbot and Poyo, this is where they're going to stick. They're not going to go for high ground again. But to launch up and to just spray and then get both eliminations is absolutely wild. The control that you have to do to be able to do that is something that only Pete and Poyo can do.
Yeah, whenever they both shockwaved up, normally a good team on height, they look up, you're getting sprayed, and you're going to get eliminated. But Peter and Poyo, they just outbloomed them. They eliminated both of them. Kanata and Curve down and took the height to win the game. Something we expect out of Peterbot and Poyo. But going into today, we weren't sure if they were going to be playing strictly for the wins or if they were just going to be crashing out, keying anybody in their sights. But clearly, they're going for the win today.
And I think what's crazy too is when we kind of tuned into them, Blake, you specifically were like, yo, they're stacked. And we're looking at their builds, their loot, and they are just so stacked at the beginning of the game. And to think they translated that all the way out to a VR. There's very few duos that can do that, Blake. So, like, you know, we've got to give them a nod, right? Like, they're just on a different level.
Yeah, I don't know how you go from having only 7 builds in the middle of that end game to finding a refresh to winning the entire game. It's just something only Peterbot and Poyo can do.
Man, oh man, the action continues to heat up. We're gonna go to a break. When return, we'll prepare ourselves for game number 3. See you in a moment.